It's difficult to write a horror movie, especially a believable one. It's easy to fall into the classic tropes, rely on overused tricks, and have unbelievable endings that viewers see coming from the very beginning of the film. However, some endings are considerably worse than others. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 worst horror movie endings part 2. Let's jump in. Coming in at 5, The Devil Inside 2012.
I'm your daughter.
This 2012 found footage horror directed by William Brent Bell is a documentary style film about a woman who becomes involved in a series of exorcisms during her quest to determine what happened to her mother, a woman who murdered 3 people as a result of being possessed by a demon. Now, despite receiving poor reviews from critics and audiences, the film did gross over $101 million, as well as topped the US box office on its opening weekend. However, the film itself was a bland mishmash of a mockumentary that relied on an overused exorcism trope, which in turn resulted in an unexciting, awful horror movie that had perhaps one of the most underwhelming and overused horror endings of all time. To sum it up, and of course spoilers ahead, the lead characters are involved in a car accident and the screen then cuts to black. We sit patiently expecting another 20 minutes of the film, however that's not what we get. Instead, we're greeted by a title card that states that the case is still unresolved, but you can visit the website therossifiles.com for more information on the case. But it gets better, the website no longer exists. And then just roll the credits. It's the biggest horror joke to ever grace our screens, but the fact that it made over $100 million, well, that's just the biggest joke there is. Coming in at 4, The House October Built 2014.
You wanna be a pretty dolly like me?
This 2014 found footage horror film, you'll notice that's a theme on this list, found footage, awful, is the directorial debut of Bobby Rowe and follows a group of 5 friends looking for a good fright for Halloween and set off on a road trip to discover the scariest underground haunted attractions. However, as their trip seems to reach a dead end, strange things begin to occur and it becomes clear that the haunt has come to them. Dun, dun, dun. It's a classic. Now, I will give this film a small amount of credit. There are some truly frightening elements to the film, specifically the creepy girl in the doll's mask. That still gives me chills. However, other than that, the film is 91 minutes of laughable, almost creepy moments and an out-of-place dancing clown named Giggles. I hate clowns. The build-up pretty much just leads to an underwhelming flat ending in which the characters are chased by scary costume-wearing killers, caught, and then buried alive. And that's the end. The film has no redeeming qualities and the ending proves that. Feels like the writers realized the hot trash they had created and decided to call it quits at the final hurdle, giving their characters a completely unjust ending, when there was a clear opportunity for something big, but alas. Coming in at 3, Scream 2, 1997. Directed once again by Wes Craven, Scream returns in the second installment and takes place 2 years after the events of the first film, and again follows the character Sidney Prescott, who is now a student at Windsor College and becomes the target of a copycat killer using the guise of Ghostface. Now, Scream has always been notable for having a clever script and countless references to the horror genre. However, at the same time, it's always incredibly thrilling with a surprising ending, as was the case with the first one, where it's revealed that Sidney's boyfriend Billy was one of the people behind the killing spree. So, of course, when the second installment came around, the writers had to up the ante with yet another shocking twist and surprising villain. However, this time they took it a bit too far. As was the case with the first film, Scream 2 has 2 killers, Mickey, a horror movie buff, and Debbie, a local news anchor. However, Debbie isn't really Debbie after all. She's Billy's mother. Yeah, Billy, aka Sidney's boyfriend from the first movie. Compared to the first film, the second's ending just doesn't have the same emotional resonance given the fact that Sidney barely knows either of the killers. It's a surprisingly unsatisfying ending. Honestly, in my opinion, Scream 1 and Scream 4 are the only 2 installments in the franchise worth mentioning. Fight me on that, I dare you. Coming in at 2, Freddys Dead, The Final Nightmare.
Go inside, honey.
Now, perhaps I'm cheating a little bit with this one because Freddys Dead doesn't just have a bad ending, the entire movie is just straight up terrible. Released in 1991, Freddys Dead is the 6th installment in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and follows, once again, the murderous Freddy Krueger who has slaughtered every last child in his hometown. He then ventures to a new location, scouting fresh young victims to hack up with his finger blades. He arrives in a small town in which his long lost daughter Maggie works as a therapist for troubled youths, so of course Freddy attempts to recruit her for his murderous pursuits. Now that the plot is out of the way, you can see why this film would be so terrible, borderline laughable. It's goofy and has no memorable kills like the earlier movies in the franchise, but the one redeeming factor is Freddy, aka Robert Englund, who is always incredible. However, the ending did not do him any justice, none whatsoever. The final chapter of the film sees Freddy and his daughter Maggie battle in a hand-to-hand combat against each other. Maggie then tears the claw glove off Freddy's hand, stabs him with it, then somehow throws a pipe bomb into his chest and says, "Happy Father's Day." Then, of course, 3 demons fly off Freddy and the pipe bomb kills him, so we thought at the time anyway. Can you imagine leaving the theatre and believing that was the ending of Freddy Krueger? A pipe bomb. What a waste. And finally, coming in at number 1, Quarantine, 2008. This is a 2008 American found footage, once again, horror remake of the incredibly superior Spanish film Wreck. It stars Jennifer Carpenter, follows a reporter, Angela, and her cameraman who are doing a story on night shift firefighters for a reality TV program. However, after a late night distress call takes them to an LA apartment building, the group find themselves trapped inside as an old woman begins to attack with her bare teeth, spreading an unknown virus from resident to resident. Now, for the most part, Quarantine follows the same key moments and themes that existed in the original, however it falls short in its final moments. What made Wreck so unique was that the 2 leads find their way to an attic where they discover, via a tape recording, that an agent of the Vatican was charged with the task of isolating an enzyme carried by a young Portuguese girl whose symptoms suggested demonic possession. However, of course, the enzyme mutates and becomes contagious, so the agent locked her in the attic to die of starvation, which leads our 2 leads to stumbling across her ghoulish, very much alive body. However, the American remake, Quarantine, takes a different approach and destroys the entire movie in the process. In the attic, we find a chemical weapons lab where a virus was stolen, and inside is an emaciated man who attacks and kills the 2 characters, a moment which is spoiled in the movie's initial trailer. The film strays away from everything its predecessor did so right and instead turns it into a standard zombie virus movie. Boo. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any bad movie endings that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 3. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.